Features and benefits are tied to what? They're not tied to why. So I'm going to be challenging you throughout today to get out of that mode of thinking. So that in the future, and I'll give you an example of how this worked for me just the other night. And Rabia might have saw it in action because she was doing a lot of different things. But at the very end of the evening at a networking event the other night, I was in front of Rabia's table and I got to talking with this other lady who's owned a business for a couple of years. And she just looked at me, she says, well, what do you do? Now, if I were to ask you right now, what do you do, what would you tell me?
What do you do?
No, if somebody were just to walk up to you right now, generically speaking, and say, what do you do?
Most people will say, I build websites,
I do this, I do that.
What?
And do they care?
No.
Not one bit. Why? Because it's a pleasantry. We're in a business settings. We don't know what else to ask, right? You sit down on a plane. Somebody sits down next to you. What is inevitably one of the first questions they ask?
What do you do?
What do you do for a living? And then we proceed to bore the snot out of them and tell them. And it's not even relevant. Right? So this lady says to me, so Don, what do you do? And I looked at her and I said, I help businesses discover what business they're really in. And she stopped and she looked back and she smiled and she goes, that's genius. And I said, well, why would you say that's genius? And then she says, before I do that, I got to stop. I'm Denise. It's great to meet you, Denise. And then we had a conversation about her business. Because I didn't make it about me. I didn't tell her what I do. I opened the door for her to tell me what she needs, what her problems are, what she's experiencing, what her challenges are, and for me to then be able to respond to that. And I walked away with a $1,000 sale. Immediately. She was excited, went out the room, went right home, logged onto the website, sent her the agreement, boom, done. Never even met her before. Okay? I didn't tell her what I do until she asked me. For real. That's what we want to do with you. We want to get your message so clear that when somebody asks, doesn't matter if it's on your website, doesn't matter if it's in an email, doesn't matter if it's in a social media post, doesn't matter if it's in a government contract or a bid that you're putting in. It doesn't matter. Those are just functions of how. Okay, does that make sense? So,